All right. Hi. Hello.
Another day.
Another day. Just grinding along here.
Yeah,
Quick little just for the thank you for showing up.
Thank you for
to
listening.
This. Yeah, it means a lot. We're going to do the pod this time. We haven't actually said hello. Hello. How you doing?
know, people said we should tweet out when we're going to start.
Oh, good idea. Okay, so before we start the pod.
Well, it's already tweeted.
Okay, you know what then? We're going to tweet it again. Hold on. I'm going to take the time to retweet it.
There you go. That's good.
Before we start here, I'm even going to put it now. I'm going to quote tweet.
I'm going to go to the Go Birds.
Yeah.
Do this.
I'm going to put a big all caps now.
There you go.
Boom. And I'm retweeting. I'm doing double. And I'm liking.
Wow.
So you never know what's going to matter. All right, here we go. You guys
Twitter star over there.
Yeah, call me an expert.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. All right, you ready?
Yes.
That's it. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliot Shore Parks, James Seltzer with you as we count down the days. Elliot, we've this daily thing, by the way, so everyone knows Elliot's idea and one of the great ideas he's
Been fun.
It's been so, and the reaction, like we can't tell you how much we appreciate all the reaction we've gotten, people responding to the topics, to the dumb things we talk about, to the silly movie arguments we get.
We got a lot of movies.
You got a lot of support on your Tuesday thing, by the way. The movies went my way, the Tuesdays went your way, which I was surprised about.
I was surprised you didn't think Tuesday was the worst day.
Well, I was much less angry at that take.
Oh, I know. Yes, trust me. Yes, trust me.
That was fun. I love you get fired up in the morning. What are we doing?
I mean, it's a good way to start the day.
It's
a good
and I really appreciate everyone responding to it. And
well, the other thing we've gotten a lot of response to is I think we're gonna have a lot of Go Birds people there on Friday night.
Yes, buddy. So yes, great point. Friday night. Let's start the pod there because it is the most important thing happening right now because you can hang out with us
and you could go to the game.
And you can hang out with Brent Selleck.
Yeah.
And you can get drinks.
Trifecta.
Drink some Miller Lights. Hang out. It's going to be an awesome time. So
what's it? If it's a trifecta's 3, is there like foursome sounds inappropriate. Like,
quad?
Is it?
Like quadsome?
Quadtrecta?
No.
Quadfecta. That would be it. Yeah. Wrong part.
It's the quadfecta.
Yeah. Because you figure trifecta would be hanging out with us. Tickets.
Brent Selleck.
Selleck. And then the 4th would be drinking Miller Lights.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So it's a quad factor.
There we go.
We're going to be in Ardmore. We're going to be at McSorley's Ale House in Ardmore.
Yes. 8 to 10.
8 to 10. We've already heard for some real ones.
Could be some certifieds.
I think our buddy Ned's going to be there.
Not to
I know our girl Allie's going to be there.
She's going to be there.
If Allie says she's going to be there, I trust her. She's going to be there. Can't wait to see
Hannah. Hannah, the listener, is going to be there. Yeah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Yes. Old school.
Yeah,
Called the radio show that time.
Exactly.
I love this. This is so. We're really excited about this. We were at Parks every Saturday, but we don't get to go out and do these like events all the time. And Ardmore's a nice spot. I think it's close to the city, it's close to the burbs. Like
parking, I'm guessing will be plentiful.
You're not like our lives every day of our lives.
Yeah.
Fighting for parking spots, the wars that we get in when we're finding parking spots. But yeah, we're really, really excited about it. It's going to be awesome. McSorley is a freaking awesome place. And again, Brent Selleck had tickets. Like we're here, but like Brent Selleck had tickets. You can win tickets. And as Elliot pointed out, like the lines online to get those tickets, it was like Taylor Swift.
And there weren't even lines. Like it was mostly just like they were gone.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, like you stood there for, it's like, I stood there for 3 hours and I got tickets. Like, no, you signed on in 20 seconds later, you realized you had no shot.
And Elliot made this point last time. And let's say it's packed because I think it's going to be packed.
Yeah, let's say 300 people.
Let's say there's 300 people there. You have a 1-300 shot to get a ticket. That's way better than online.
Well, and if you bring somebody, you have a 2. You then go to 1 and 150.
See, that's smart.
Yeah.
Come
squad. Now there's only 2 tickets, but
come with a pal.
Right.
Or you can come with a group and pal up,
and then figure it out once.
Everyone's got their too. Either way, you have a chance to win tickets to the NFC freaking championship game, club seats. To the NFC
it's club seats? I didn't know that.
Wow.
Wow.
It's the best seat in the house. That's what they call the whole thing. So come hang out. It's going to be awesome. You have a chance to win Eagles tickets and fire some takes at Elliot.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, as someone who gets to hang out with Elliot in public from time to time,
yes,
people love to fire takes at Elliot.
They do love to fire takes
at me. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So all right, so that's coming up. We'll talk more about it coming up. And obviously, as tomorrow night, we'll talk more about it as it goes. Check out our social media, all that. But we will be there tomorrow night, McSorley's.
It's wild. It's tomorrow already.
Dude, that's what I was.
The week's gone from going really slow to all of a sudden.
Dude, that's what I was going to say to start the pod. But then we got into the McSorley's thing. But that's where it was like, this is day 9. This is day 9 of us coming in here. That's why I started the daily thing. Because I was like, I'm having so much fun. It was a great idea. But like, we're 9 days in. 10 days, and then it's like weekend. It's game time.
I know.
And then there's the chance we're doing this for 2 more weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. So
that is wild. It actually doubles the amount. It goes from like, we're guaranteed 10 because we're definitely going to do Thursday, Friday. And look, we have Parks on Saturday. So, right. But if they win on Sunday, it's then not only just 2 more full weeks, who knows? Maybe we'll do daily pods before the parade. Like this could, probably until your morning show. Well, until the morning show.
Morning show won't start until the following weekend.
Exactly. So like, it's basically the Eagles win on Sunday and you'll get at least 2, but maybe 3 more weeks of this.
That's right. Yes.
So
I might never take my daughter into school again. That's where we're at.
That's a good point.
It used to be the thing I
Who
did
even
in the
knows
morning.
where she'll go at this point?
Emily started early. Guess what?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
taking someone to school every day.
I feel like she could probably walk to school at this point.
The 4-year-old. Yes,
Yeah,
let's let the 4-year-old just.
Well, did you ever see that show on Netflix? It's a show from overseas, and basically what they do is
I've not seen it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, they just like send little kids to the stores. Now
they're filming it,
and the flaw in the show is the kid is safe because
they're filming it,
right.
Camera crew.
So that is the main like scary part of sending a kid out. But it is funny to watch him. Like honestly, it's not that much different than me grocery shopping.
Trying to navigate.
Like asking where stuff is, like forgetting things, but yeah. So that'll be Zoe walking to school.
When I go to the supermarket with that Emily, I call her like 6 times.
Easily.
Hey, which kind of this did you want? Or
and my biggest pet peeve, I doubt Kristen's listening, but I've told her this.
I know for a fact.
Yeah, there's not listening.
And there's a 0.0% chance Emily is listening.
100,
or will listen. So we're in good shape with that.
When I'm in the grocery store,
I know where you're going,
and I call, and she doesn't pick the phone up.
3 times I called yesterday. 3 times, and she said it didn't ring. Okay,
yeah.
Emily's the queen of not answering her phone when she knows I will be calling.
Well, this is why now, like, and I'm probably not rude about it, but it's probably the like biggest tone I get is before I leave, I'll be like, please keep your phone by you.
Me too.
Like, just please keep your phone by you.
She got Apple Watch, like, partially so that when I call, she feels
like a live buzzer.
I even still, I'll be like, hey, man,
just
pay earmuffs 1, 2, 3. Pay the fuck attention to your phone. All right?
It's like I'm the one going to the grocery store.
I'm the one out here.
All I ask is you pick up. Yes.
To quote our great caller Black Reddy, I'm the one out here in these streets.
There you go.
All right, you're the one sitting at home, hanging out, waiting for me to come home.
Black Reddy would pick the phone up.
Of course
he seems like a good pick the phone up. Of course
he would.
Yeah. But you know what it is? It's probably healthy that Kristen and Emily aren't attached to their phone, right?
Like, we never miss a call. Yeah.
Whereas I didn't text you back for like 4 hours.
I thought I did something. I thought he was mad at me. That's how good his text tree is. I was like, oh God, did I upset? I was like, because I honestly thought like maybe I was too aggressive with our movie fight yesterday.
It wasn't too aggressive. Okay, it did get aggressive, but like
I was like, did I make him mad? I'm like, he knows we're just talking, having fun.
But I have been more and more typing and then forgetting to hit send.
Yeah, that's
I don't know why.
Worst.
Like I don't know if my thumb's not hitting it. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's probably because I'm busy.
Well, there's also nothing worse too than this is something early thought, and then we'll get to the Eagles for iPhones, and I guess any phones. Android might be able to do this. I don't have an Android. So
who has an Android?
You should be able to read like you can with emails, like unread. You should be able to do that with texts. Because that's the way I remember. Because sometimes I'll open a text, I'll be, oh, okay.
Oh, it says read. I see what you're saying.
Forget about it. And then it falls behind other texts, and then it's gone. And then I forget to respond to that person. Where if I had been able to leave it open and not open it by mistake and be like, all right, I have an unopened text. I got to get back to that.
Do our work emails do read unread?
You can choose to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I hope I.
Oh, no. I'm not saying so people can see it. I'm saying the idea, look.
Oh, I put the little dot back there.
It says, I have one text right now. Because I have one text right now.
I see what you're saying.
My point is, if I hit that text, it would say 0.
Yep,
but I might want to respond to that person, then I forget about it. I wish I could, if I open it by mistake, or if I just want to see what they said, open it and then put it back to unread.
I agree. Yeah.
Why can't you do that?
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
That can be your first thought.
I feel like that's a really good idea, and I've thought this forever.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is really fun. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone.
All right,
let's talk birds. Again, okay, well then it's note time because we are, to your point, it snuck up on us, but it's Thursday.
Yeah, probably time to talk about the game.
Soon. Line hasn't moved at all week. It's kind of just stuck at 2.5.
Yeah. The other interesting thing that's happened since we recorded. Oh, we actually should talk about the awards. I forgot.
Oh, great point. Okay, so we'll get to the Niners thing in a sec.
Wait, let me say one Niners thing super quick. It's not a point, but it is worth mentioning that Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel did not practice yesterday.
And McCaffrey is a captain.
And McCaffrey, I think they'll play for sure, 100%. But And Debo had a good game against the Seahawks.
But not a good game against
against Dallas.
And same with McCaffrey. McCaffrey had a great game against the Seahawks, but didn't really do much against Dallas. Scored that touchdown late, but didn't get going until that drive.
Anybody could have scored that. But
damn right. Elliot.
I could have ran
down this road.
But it's just noteworthy. I think McCaffrey might legit be hurt. And he'll play and he'll be active, but again, and Avonte Maddox was limited. Like the Eagles could go into the game and, you can debate 100% whatever with all 22 starters healthy. And the Niners, I think, are going into this game the less healthy team. Like we can debate the Lane, McCaffrey, like whatever. But ultimately, two of their best players didn't practice on Wednesday. And the Eagles, Lane was limited, but he at least practiced. And
look, they're bringing their third string quarterback into this game because of injuries.
It's
if we talk about how healthy the Eagles are comparatively, I mean, the Eagles are rolling out their lineup.
They're extremely healthy. Now, I do hesitate to take too big of a victory lap, both of us, because it's luck. Like it is luck. But the whole point, of not practicing them is you're avoiding the luck part of it because you're not risking it, right? So, yes, they are lucky that they're going into 22. Exactly, 100%.
It's the whole thing with just setting yourself up for success.
Right.
And saying optionality. We all, it's a hinky term, but you always try to say create. And I said this to you before, and I'll say this is the one piece of advice. My dad passed away almost 19 years ago, and the one piece of advice that always stuck with me for career wise, what I should. He's like, whatever you do. He's like anything in life, whether you become a writer, whether you become a real estate developer,
a podcaster. At that point, probably didn't know a podcaster.
But here the podcaster is because of this.
Right.
That's why this happened. Is he's always create optionality for yourself. He's always give yourself avenues to success. You never know what the thing is or what the person who sees something is or whatever.
Yeah.
And this was before I was even in this business. This was just a general thing. And that's why I started podcasts to begin with. I started in radio, wanted to be a producer, but I was like, let me start podcasts. Let me start writing. Let me do all this stuff. You wrote, you do podcasts. You do.
I did TV.
Yeah, it's exactly that stuff's important. And it applies to sports as well.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's why now we're on a tangent, but this whole football guy, basketball guy, whatever, let's use Howie and Hinkie as examples. They're both good at their sport. And look, Howie's a football guy. Hinkie's a basketball guy. So get that side. But they're also just super smart people, right? That you can just tell being around them could probably be successful in any walk of life. And I think with these jobs too. And look, Nick being a CEO head coach and Dan Campbell being a CEO head coach, right? I do think if you just have someone in power, this is a bit probably off of what you were saying, but somebody that's willing to have their hands in multiple pots and all those things, it's just good to be able to do a lot of things.
Yeah. And especially when you're, like you said, the front of an organization.
Right.
Nick does have a lot of people under him, so to speak.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. Let's get to the awards and all that stuff. Obviously, I want to get to the most important ones, but let's start with the true biggest slide because you brought it up on the pod. It is the one, and because Nick got slighted, but there's none of these awards. No one in any of this whole thing on all the teams got slighted more than Brandon.
Dude, I'm saying this in all seriousness. I think if you were a comeback of the year voter and you did not have Brandon Graham in your top 3, I truly believe you should have your right to vote rescinded.
Love it.
Because and then people are going to be like, oh, you cover the Eagles, Brandon, blah, blah, blah. And yes, I'm sure there's bias in every walk of life, all those things. But the bottom line is this. Brandon Graham had the best year of his career coming off a huge injury at 34 years old. That's it. That's all you need to know.
He played one game last year.
Yeah, he played one game last year. Christian McCaffrey, whatever.
Did you know Saquon played 13
Yes, I did know he played 13 games. Yeah,
games
100%. And again, did not have a career year this year.
No,
did not.
Fine.
So this is what I think the issue is.
McCaffrey played 7 games last year.
It's insane. Geno played all of them that a team was willing to let him play.
And even then, at least Geno, you can, Geno's the one of the 3 who I would put in there with, Brandon should beat him. But Geno deserves to be one of the 3, I think, because it's not an injury. But that dude was basically, a third string or whatever, and had a great year as a starting quarterback. Got a chance. Sure, that's a comeback. It's a different kind of comeback. That's a comeback. McCaffrey and Barkley, every player
they went from mediocre.
All those guys have that stuff.
Well, they went from mediocre hurt to mediocre season. Neither of them had special seasons, but again, and I think this is the problem a lot of times with awards, and you see this with Pro Bowl voting too, where it's at the end, Jason Peters got in because he's Jason Peters. And there's an aspect of, well, he's earned that. But what it also really is voters are just lazy and go oh, yeah, Jason Peters is good. And they check it.
Dude, this is the Gold Glove thing. And I've been saying this for a bit. So the perfect example is Rafael Palmeiro won a Gold Glove one year when he played 27 games at first base.
Yeah.
He was a DH.
Right.
He played 20, but because he was such a good first baseman for all those years, people were like, oh, Raffy, he's the Gold Glove. 27 games the guy played first base.
You're back to stomping on the
So I was doing good until
you were.
I'm working on it.
You were. Well, Brandon's your favorite player of all time.
All time.
But like, and I get it. Look, to 1% of me is like, I understand it's extremely, extremely hard to follow all the teams. It just is, to know every intricacy of everything. But here's the deal. If you're going to vote, then you have to do that, right? Like, I get it. It sounds exhausting. To know what every backstory of every injured player, how many games, like, I get it. But then here's the deal. Then don't vote. You know what I mean? Like, because no, in all seriousness, you're stealing an award away from a player who, look, he should have won it, point blank. But at the very least, he should have been not like in the finalists. Like, it's embarrassing. It's flat out embarrassing. And the reason nobody knows about it is because he's a quote unquote backup.
Rotational.
He's a rotational defensive end. But he's been in the league for a long time too. And here's the other thing.
He won a Super Bowl with he made the play of a Super Bowl for Kirk.
The other thing I think people have to accept at this point. And you're right that Geno like fits the bill.
I think Geno should be there. I think Brandon Graham should beat him. But McCaffrey and Barkley are the ones I have real issues with.
It should just be an injury award. Is what it really should be.
And that's fine. But again, if you're going to do that, then like it shouldn't be guys who played 13 games last year.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley should not be on anybody's ballot.
I don't think it has to be an injury award. Like, I'm fine. Like, Geno should be there. I get it. But
I think it would be cool to have an award, like the Brandon thing aside. I think it would be cool to have an award where it highlights a player who came back from some type of adversity, right? Yeah. So, but like, and again, that's what the award has been like for the last 5 years. You know, it isn't like, it isn't like we're making some hot take point like, oh, well, Brandon was injured. He can like all these guys get it. Guys, I don't have the list in front of me anymore. Before the last 5 years, guys that have won it have been guys that came back from injury. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Brandon is the biggest slight. Flat out, the biggest slight. Like, he should have won the award.
Yeah, it's not close.
Again, you should have your vote ripped away from you if you did not have him in your top three.
Totally co-sign this take. He's 33 years old and had the worst injury he can have, and then had his best season of his career.
How many voters?
It's just silly.
How many voters do you think openly decided not to put Brandon in versus not knowing about Brandon?
I would guess 98%.
Exactly.
Yeah. No one's just like, I'm not voting for Brandon. They were just like,
I mean, Christian McCaffrey had like a hamstring injury?
Dude, it's so dumb. It's just so dumb. He played 7 games last year. Barkley played 13. Brandon played 1. And he had a way worse injury. And honestly, I know he's a rotation guy. You could argue he had just as good a year as these other guys, maybe better in some ways.
He definitely had a better year. Saquon started out well, finished slow, had a good game. Whatever.
McCaffrey started slow, finished well with the Niners.
McCaffrey was, let's be honest, mostly irrelevant this year. Yeah. He had like 2 or 3 games.
He's playing
No, I get it. But I'm saying, like, he basically didn't matter for half the year in Carolina. Yeah. And then he got to San Francisco. You know, he had good games there. But Brandon Graham was one of the best players on one of the best defenses on the best team in the NFC. And he did it coming off an Achilles. Yeah. Done. That's the argument.
All right. Totally agree. All right. Let's get to Nick and then we'll get to his son. I mean, look, I know we talked about this going in. We thought the top 4 are the 3 who got nominated. And then Nick, you know, we mentioned Campbell too.
Yeah. There's a Tomlin.
But it was Shanahan, Peterson, Dable, and Nick. And look, we both said if we honestly, we thought it went Shanahan, Sirianni. Like, we thought those are the top 2. And if we had to give it, like, we're not homers here, we probably would give it to Kyle Shanahan. Like, that dude is in the NFC. I mean, went 13-4, won 12 straight. 6 of them or 7 of them, whatever.
3 different quarterbacks.
The last pick in the draft, 3 different quarterbacks. The last freaking pick in the draft. He had injuries too. You know, McCaffrey, they traded for him. Worked him in. All these things. Like,
he has a comeback player of the year candidate.
Right? Yeah. But in all, like, we're not. This is not a homer thing we're doing here. No, I'm not saying like, oh, we all got screwed because I want all the Eagles to win. I would have voted for Kyle Shanahan to be coach of the year. But Nick not being top 3, and again, like, who cares? I want him to use it as a slight. I actually think Nick is one of the rare coaches who I do think is a chip on his shoulder kind of guy. So, like, whatever. But, like, I mean, really.
So here's my.
Really, you're not going to put Nick in the. He went 14-3. And by the way, real quick, I think the most compelling thing I've seen, the most compelling argument I've seen on social media for all of this is the one you made. It's the win total.
Yeah, it's the win total.
Look at all of them. He is the most over all 3 guys. Shanahan's win total was like 10 or 11 or something. Right. Dable's was 7. and Peterson's was 6.
Yeah.
They were like 3, 3, and like 2.5.
Well,
over their
I was
total.
gonna say Dable was like
2.5
1.5.
1.5 or whatever it was over his total. No, he was 2 because he was 9 and whatever.
But I think it was 7. Whatever.
It was 7. So I think
it was 7.5.
What I saw was 7.
Okay.
Either way, and then we give him the half of the tie, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But the point is, all those guys were between 2 and 3 above their win total. So he was 4.5.
Yeah, he almost doubled all of them. Yeah. So here's my thing on the Sirianni not being in it. I think he probably should have been. And I think where people miss it is like there's a perception that the Eagles were supposed to be this. Like you thought they would be this. People in Philly thought they would be this. But ultimately, I think their Super Bowl odds were 11th going into the year. They were like plus 2,400. Their over-under was 9.5. I wish I could remember this, but I remember when we were doing a Parks pod before the season, it was like odds to make the playoffs. It was not like minus 400. It was like minus, I don't know, 175 or something.
I think
like
it was even higher than that.
Yeah.
I think it was like, minus 120.
Exactly.
Like that.
So they weren't definitely supposed to be a playoff team. They were not supposed to be the 1 seed, like pretty much at all.
I think it started lower, but then because then everyone was betting, like the Eagles were the chic.
They were, but it started. I think
it was all the betting community.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the original odds and the original thoughts for the team.
Like if your argument is going to be that Dable exceeded expectations, so did Sirianni
by a lot.
By a lot, right? Now, look, I think I don't know if I fully believe this. But like, is Dable's job harder? Maybe because he has less talent. But there's something to be said about coaching without expectation versus coaching with expectation. And yes, Nick has a lot of talent on his roster. Nick got a career year out of his starting quarterback, both wide receivers, his tight end, his running back. You could argue his offensive line. Like almost every player on the Eagles offense had a career year. And while he's not the defensive guy, he is the head coach. Reddick had a career year. James Bradbury had a career year. You could argue the linebackers had career years. Chauncey had a career year. They almost set the NFL sack record, right?
He might have both coordinators get head coach.
He might have,
jobs.
yeah. So in terms of just who did the best job with what they had,
he went 14-1 with his starting quarterback. 14-1.
Yeah, I don't see how Sirianni gets slated for the roster. The other thing is, so I remember in 2001, the Sixers when they went to the finals, they got MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year. It's okay to give a team multiple awards. The point of a great team is they have great players and great coaches.
For all of them.
Exactly.
I mean, other than MVP.
Yeah, Defensive Player, Head Coach of the Year, right?
They have a guy
in
every single category.
Like the Eagles were better than the Niners.
Without a doubt.
I definitely think there's, and this comes back to
the Eagles have one guy in all those categories, and we'll get to it.
And this comes back to like, frankly, laziness, where it's like the perception of the Eagles is, well, they're so loaded, everyone's job's easy. It's not true. It's not easy to win 14 games. It's not easy to be great. And like, look, Sirianni came to the podium yesterday with the AJ Brown shirt and Devontae Smith shirt. Balancing that dynamic all year, not easy either, right?
You just saw it.
Look, it's easy when it's
in a playoff game where he's injured. Somebody, AJ Brown was a little butthurt didn't get the ball as much. Like he's still dealing with it.
It's easier to be a head coach with no expectations than it is to be a head coach that's expected to his over under was only 9.5. So it's like, but he had way better roster and he got way more out of it. Now, do I think he should have been in the top 3? Yes. Do I think it's a travesty he was not? No, because
those other 3 guys
Shanahan was awesome. These would have been my 3. I would have gone Shanahan, Nick, and Doug, and you could convince me into swapping Doug and Nick just because Doug went into such a.
Yeah, but Doug was in such an easier. He was in one of the 2 worst divisions in football. He got to play the Colts twice. He got to play the Texans twice. He got to play the Titans twice. Like I think Dable did a better job than Doug. But regardless, I think it's again. My 1-2 is Shanahan Sirianni, and then it's a 3. It's who's the 3. And look at this way, right? We're talking about both Doug and Doug's team was one win worse. They were 3. But the Giants, Dable, taking a 4-win team to a 9-win team and making the playoffs. Wow. What does that sound like? Oh, did Nick do that last year?
Well, and the other
did Nick hold on. Yeah. Did Nick do that exact thing last year and get 0 credit?
It's true. I don't think
he should have been coach of the year. I'm not saying that, but like let's not forget that Nick did this exact same thing with a crappy roster last year that Dable is doing now, and no one was like, ho ho ho,
dude. There was talks about like not firing him, but no one
believed in him after last year. So only certain. I mean, you did.
You did. Well, here's the other thing too. What Dable has done is now officially being overrated.
Yep.
What Dable did was impressive. He should be in the conversation.
You're going too far.
Ultimately, he was a wild card team, right? And look, the division was tough for sure, but they did end up playing one of the easiest schedules in the league, right? Like ultimately, the Giants were not a special team. The Giants went into Minnesota, but playoffs are not supposed to be included in this award. But regardless, even if we're including in the discussion, it was impressive they went into Minnesota and won, for sure. Ultimately, they got smacked. And that's the other thing. And I know the talent's better, but Nick Sirianni outcoached Dable both times they coached. Like, Nick Sirianni is a better head coach than Dable.
He beat Doug too. Like,
and look, dude, you could convince me Dan Campbell is right in there too. So that's why
he would be up there, and he deserves it.
That's why with the Sirianni thing, ultimately, do I think he should have been in the top 3? Yes. But it's not like Brandon Graham. It's not like if Jalen wasn't in the MVP, and maybe we'll talk about Reddick briefly, but like, there were other really, really good candidates. Like, again, I would have gone Shanahan, Nick, Doug, but you could have convinced me into like Shanahan, Doug, Dan Campbell. You could have convinced me Mike Tomlin could have been in there. I mean, he's probably towards the bottom end just because he didn't make the playoffs, but like, all those guys are just as good as Dable. And it's annoying me the whole like Dable's, Dable's kind of turning into Frank Reich, where everyone's just saying he's a good coach, even though he's not really accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
So
look, and he did it. Not accomplishing as much as people are implying.
My bad, nothing. Yeah, I'm sorry.
He did take and he made Daniel Jones we thought Daniel Jones should be out of the league. Like,
but even Daniel Jones only threw 15 touchdowns.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like,
no, I'm saying to your point about Jalen and last year, right?
Yes,
like,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, like Daniel Jones this year is basically Jalen last year.
To your point, like, I don't think what Dable did this year is that much more impressive than what Nick did last year, and no one talked about Nick like this last year. And they were wrong.
Again, his over/under. Going into the year, the general population told you they thought that he should win between 7 and 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
He won 9.
Yep.
So it's not
that. To be fair, he didn't play his last game, so he could have won 10 theoretically.
100%, right?
And whatever.
But the Eagles did pass their over under by more.
It's a no-brainer. All right, one more slight. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. And you know me, like, I'm like Mr. Philadelphia in that I say I don't care about these things, and deep in my soul I don't. But I
think you should.
I hate getting slighted. I do care. That's what I'm saying.
And I think the players should care too. Like I just
use it as motivation.
Well, but I just hate this idea of like they're supposed to work hard every day. They're supposed to really love their craft and then not care about recognition. It's not about being selfish. Yeah, but it's about the fact that you worked hard for something and you're not being given it. Like, that's the unfair thing. I think they should absolutely care whether they win these awards or not. Do I think they should care more about winning the Super Bowl? Yes, but like, ultimately, it's the same thing to a certain degree. It's working really hard towards a goal. And when the goal is at least the Super Bowl is in their control. Mm-hmm. These awards are out of their control.
No, it's a great point.
So I think they should definitely care. And I think people should care too.
It should be a slight. And look, my thing is more that I like, to the point you just made, like, I just want them to win the Super Bowl. Like, I won't care about this, whatever. But in the moment when I see this stuff, it does feel wrong to me. And I get upset.
0-1 Sixers are more special because now they didn't win the title, but because Iverson won MVP. Right. Even the All-Star MVP that year was cool. Yeah. You know, like, you think back to this.
Coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. All right, let's get to Reddick, because honestly, of all these guys that we're talking about, in terms of nationals, because Brandon Graham, it's a different thing that's coming. In terms of like the great players and people on the Eagles this year, the Siriannis, the Hurts, the AJ Browns, all these guys, like, no one has gotten less national attention than Haason Reddick. Like,
I agree.
The dude, as you pointed out, to half sack in the game, we thought it was 2. So when I was 17.5 sacks in 18 games, he had 16 sacks during the freaking season this year.
Ton of forced fumbles.
And as we've talked about so many times, like, completely passive. Like, he looked better than that. He should have had 25 sacks, it feels like.
Well, and there's also some stat, and there's actually a lot of like analytical stats that really favor Haason Reddick.
It passes the eye test.
Yeah, it passed the eye test too. But there was a stat.
Dominant.
There was some stat that said, like, of the sacks that he got, he earned the most of them. Like, it wasn't like he was jumping on at the end type of thing.
And
like,
I believe that.
Yeah, he was like the first one there.
How many videos do we see this year of like Haason just chasing plays down? It was
right.
like every week it's like, oh, look at Haason just motoring after a dude.
Yeah.
Look at Haason making a play happen, like getting the quarterback after it looked like no way he would get him. Like, all that stuff. And how many sacks did he have where he had him in his grasp and they got away and all? Like,
so who was the 3? It was Chris Jones, Nick Bosa.
It was Chris Jones, it was Nick Bosa, it was Micah Parsons. And we'll put Nick Bosa to the side because we both agree Nick Bosa should absolutely be, and he probably should win. Like, Nick Bosa was the best defensive player this year. It's okay. I think Haason Reddick might have been the second best.
Yeah.
I think he might have been the second best defensive player this year.
Look, I think it probably should be Nick Bosa. And I didn't, I watched all Haason Reddick's games. Jimmy Kempski at Philly Voice had an interesting article where he listed all the tackles that Nick Bosa had his sacks against, and they were all bad.
Really?
Like rookies.
That's
like
fascinating.
Yeah. Now look, Reddick goes against bad tackles
and also
too.
The thing you can flip around too is say that, as you've pointed out many times, and it's one of the reasons. Yeah, it's one of the reasons we think the Eagles have a really good chance is that there's probably a lot of defense or offensive dedication to stop more
100%.
to specifically Bosa than to Reddick.
100.
Well,
yeah.
Well, they have to worry about.
No, I agree with you
guys
100%. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I think of the Reddick thing, and honestly, I would say I'm guilty of it too, in the way that there's something about him, not him personally, but just you see with the way he's talked about. He just doesn't get the recognition. He just doesn't. Even when they signed the contract, I was like, something's got to be off here, because if he's this age and does this and had this resume the last 2 years, why is he not the highest paid player in free agency? Yeah. And dude, the Reddick contract might be we talk so much about
best contract,
even including rookie quarterbacks, like Trevor Lawrence. Like you can argument.
I mean, no. I heard it's like $1 million or whatever.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. Good point. You're right. Good point. But I'm saying Reddick, for what he does at his,
because Hurts is a second round, like Burrow, like those other rookie contracts. But Hurts is a second rounder, is like exceptionally like the best contract. But you're right. Like especially certainly it's one of the great free agent signings. Dude, ever maybe like certainly first year performance.
So I have two predictions. One, Nick Sirianni's going to get a contract extension within like a week of the season end. But if I'm Haason Reddick, man,
going up me like Howie,
I don't know. Like, and look, the Eagles love to redo deals. Like, if I'm Reddick, and I don't think he'd do this because whatever. But like, I'm at least saying, dude, I should be, if not the highest paid edge in the league, I'm certainly should be top 3. He's 17th right now.
Yeah, if nothing else, I should be the highest paid edge on this freaking team.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah. Dude, I mean, he basically got
less than like Graham and Sweat.
Well, I was gonna say
the same amount, like
Sweat,
Graham,
so I went back and looked at his deal. I think he had like $35 million, which is like, look, he shouldn't be making that a year, but he should be at like, dude, again, he had almost as many sacks as games and forced fumbles. And he was awesome at the end of the year too.
Dude, it's a steal.
And Micah Parsons, I guess, has to be in it. But
does he?
He
fell off in the second.
He fell off for sure.
And they made this
now, to your point, I do think he gets very, very like individually schemed for.
I think if I had to pick one guy to start a team with, I'd pick Micah Parsons over Reddick. He's younger. He's more devastating overall and stuff. But I think you can make an argument that this specific season, the way it played out, that Reddick was better. But you're right. Look, I didn't watch the Chiefs play every game and all that. Jones had 15.5 sacks as a defensive tackle. Like,
it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty freaking good.
It's pretty good.
I don't think that this is I think there are a lot of qualified candidates, but it's when Reddick has been slighted all season long like this. And when it's the Eagles getting slighted in these spots, it amplifies.
Well, and so he tweeted yesterday something like, at some point this has to stop.
What do I got to do?
And I always think it must be annoying not only to be slighted, but to be constantly asked about being slighted.
Oh, because it's the first question.
It's all the time.
And you know what else we didn't think about too with that is that there's stuff in contracts too. Like I'll bet you he has some DPOY thing if he's top 3.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's the other part of this.
Like, it's costing him money.
Like again, this goes back to the voting process. Like I don't know, and this is kind of the movie thing, but not to get back to that. But like,
no.
But like again, like there's real life implications for the voters. There is. Not okay. I never mind. Okay. No. I shouldn't say it.
Is it a movie?
Okay, I will say it. So no, it's a compliment, but I just didn't know if you would want me to say it. So Ruben Frank of NBC Sports Philly gets a vote for, I believe he gets it for AP, right? And I was talking to him about it. 100%,
150 years.
Yes. And so I was talking to him about it, and he had to vote for a long snapper. And I said to him, I was like, how in the world do you go about doing that? And he explained the process to me of how he went through and looked at every single long snapper and it was something impressive. So I will say, as much as I'm dunking on voters, like
there are voters who really take it.
Seriously.
I'm sure
and
they should. Ruben Franks out there.
And they should, because it's a really important thing.
So what we're just talking, if nothing else, just to money. Like if nothing else, if you take nothing else out of it, like just in terms of like you're handing people millions of dollars one way or another or whatever.
100%. So look, Reddick got slated. It's funny. The one person that actually got in there is Jalen. And we're not even talking.
Well, I was going to do that last. I was going to do all the slides and then get to the like, hey, at least Jalen. Now, here's my question about Jalen. And he was second team AP quarterback, so I think he would have been in there anyway. But if it's a top 3, is he still in there for sure? Right? I think he has to be.
Who were the 5 again? It was
him, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson's obviously out of the top 3.
Yeah, although yes, for sure, he is extremely valuable to that team. But yes, yeah.
But like,
I think he's not in the top 3.
I think the top 3 are probably Burrow, Mahomes, and Hurts.
Yeah,
which it should be. Like we talked about, those are the 3 most important players.
100%. I do think he would be in there. I thought it was a little interesting, and I'm probably reading too much into this, that when the NFL put out their graphic, they put Hurts in the middle.
That's interesting.
Who knows? I don't think he's going to win it. He's not going to win it.
But wouldn't that be something?
So excuse me, I'm sorry I'm doing this. I asked Hurts yesterday at the press conference when he sat down, I was like, you got nominated for MVP. Like, what do you think about it? And dude, let me tell you, I talk a lot about how like he controls a room. There is something about when he looks you in the eyes that's a little like
piercing.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to use the word intimidating because he's a very nice guy, but it's like, I better like really pay attention to what I'm doing right now. So I can see from a leader how if he looks like Pascal or Devontae in the eyes, they're like, oh shit, I better really Because so like I ask him, I'm like, you know, so you're a finalist for the MVP. Like, what'd you think? And he waits like 5 seconds. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I hope he really was. I knew he was, but the way he reacted, I was like, I really, really hope I didn't mess this up. So he's like, oh, I didn't even know about it until you told me, like, blah, blah, blah. Do you really think he didn't know?
No.
Right. I feel like he had to know.
There's people.
Dude, he gets prepped for every press conference. Yes. You don't think it's a story that you're nominated for MVP?
Yeah.
But he did say like I'm at a loss for words or something. So
that's nice.
Yeah. Look, he deserves it.
He deserves it. We think he deserves to win it. And look, we won't I'm much more upset that Brandon Graham didn't get nominated for comeback player of the year than that Hurts is not going to win MVP. Like, he deserves it.
Yeah.
He should win it.
Well,
he's the most valuable player to his team in the league this year, I think, personally.
I remember when I was walking out of the Eagles win over the Packers. And I think that was Monday night or Sunday night or something like that. I think it was Sunday night. Yeah. And, you know, Hurts like, you know, ran for whatever he did, threw for whatever he did, like played awesome. And I remember thinking like, we should all take a step back and realize like what we just witnessed. He just outplayed Aaron Rodgers in a primetime game.
Easily outplayed.
Yeah. And I think this is another moment where we should take a step back and go, Jalen Hurts got nominated for MVP. And not only got nominated, like we all think he should win it. He's and 24. So we spent so much time, literally almost 2 years at this point, if not 2.5 years, debating like, can Hurts be the guy? Blah, whatever, right? Like he did it. He did it. All that work he did paid off. And this is why it matters who wins these awards, because he was questioned, I don't want to say his whole life, but like at Alabama, at Oklahoma, when he was drafted, last year, this year, whatever. The dude has been nominated as one of the 3 or 4, well, 5, but he's going to finish top 3 most important players in the entire league. Like, and it's just bananas that he pulled it off.
He doesn't turn 25 till August. He's still closer to his 24th birthday than to his 25th.
Yeah.
Think about that. He played this whole season at the age of 24.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of guys don't get in the league at that position until they're 24. Carson Wentz was 24 when he got in the league at that position.
Yeah.
Like, what this kid has done is we've never seen it. We've never seen it. As Eagles fans, and honestly, as we talked about with the Josh Allen leap, now becoming the Jalen Hurts leap, as football fans, we have never seen a guy go from what he was at the age of 23 last year to what he is at the age of 24 this year. Like, I've never seen it.
I agree.
The leap that this guy took, and he deserves
all of it.
Because it's all him. And every, you know, the coach, like everything helps. But but this guy deserves as much credit as any athlete I ever remember for a year-to-year change.
And look, like nothing was handed to him.
Nothing.
You know, like nothing at all.
He was back up.
So it's
came in, shut his mouth, did his work, took his opportunity, ran with it, literally and figuratively, and now we're here.
Well, and I get because it's a slight, but it is funny and kind of telling. But like the bigger story yesterday was Sirianni didn't get nominated than the fact that the Eagles quarterback just got nominated for MVP. Like that's dude, we still talk about how Carson was almost the MVP.
We've never seen an Eagle win the MVP.
That's a good point.
In our lifetime.
McNabb didn't ever win it?
No.
He wasn't co-MVP one year?
Nope.
No.
We've never seen an Eagle win an MVP.
He was on the Madden cover.
Like, think about that. Like, that's pretty nuts. You know,
it is.
We've seen 3 in my lifetime, 3 different Phillies players. 4 if you count the one Schmidt won the A's when I was a kid, and I don't remember it that well, but like 4 different guys have won an MVP for the Phillies in my life. And the Eagles, we've never had an MVP, you know, and I know there's 2 leagues in baseball and only 1 MVP in football and stuff, but still, like, you would think that at some point over all the years and all the success we've had as Eagles, never had that guy. This is the closest we've ever come. I mean, that's been him and McNabb a couple times. Like, it's pretty amazing.
And like, look, Shane Steichen, assistant coach, like this was a great team that had a great year, and they deserve all the recognition they're getting. And like I said about the Sixers, nobody should be slighted just because it's a great situation.
I agree. All right, so we'll preview the game tomorrow. We'll do parts pick and all that. Yeah, we were originally going to talk about the reasons for that. Then we're like, oh yeah,
forgot about the awards,
which is fair. So we're allowed to make it. We're coming in every day.
Agreed.
We're doing our thing. We talked about it.
And to be fair, if we didn't have to title this before the pod,
we would have titled.
No one would know.
And look, here's the thing. I mean, well, now we said it, so now everyone's gonna know. But theoretically, only the wonderful people watching the YouTube would have known, because that's the YouTube title. If we had never said anything, the pod just plays out, and we're gonna title the pod about the awards.
I was gonna say, in retrospect, it would have been a better title anyway.
So Emily's calling me. Should I answer on the pod? I've never done that before.
I mean, it'd be hysterical. It's up to you. I don't like put her on
I'm
speaker.
doing it. Hey, so we're recording right now, but I thought it'd be funny to answer while we were recording. How you doing? I'm good. Oh, good. Well, tell her I love her, and we should be done in like 5 minutes or so. So I'll call back and I'll talk to her. Tell her that I'm going to make fun of her on my podcast right now live for this, though. That I hope that's a motivating factor. All right, I love you.
Oh.
All right, bye. Zoe is refusing to get ready for school.
Nice.
So I got to call my daughter when we're done. Be like, Zoe, shape up or ship out.
I get you. It does. As much as we joke about how much it'd be fun to go back to high school and stuff, like getting up and going to school every day, it's got to be a bit.
This is my number one thing. So Zoe,
although we get up and go to work.
Zoe always used to say, so it goes both ways. Because like I actually think it goes both ways. Like the whole like I want to be an adult thing. Like no, you don't. As a kid, you've got nothing to worry about,
dude.
Your life is cake.
It's like
comparatively,
literally
like,
no, and not only
bills,
this, the things you have to worry about, you don't even have to fix them.
That's exactly right.
At least when I have a worry, like this is a silly thing, but it's true. I was walking in the basement this morning, and I saw a chip was on the ground, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." And then I was thinking, "Well, Elliot, if you don't pick it up, like my dad and mom aren't picking it up, like." So when you're an adult, like you literally have to, and this is a very minor problem. This was clearly a joke, but like it is true. It is true. When you have a problem, when you're an adult, you have to fix it. Zoe doesn't really have to do anything other than say banana.
She should be banana.
Yeah.
Yes, and pattern.
Yeah, and pattern.
And many other weird sounding things.
Controversy.
Yeah, it's hilarious. All right, so I'll call Zoe in a minute. Tomorrow we will dive into the game, preview the game. Parks Picks Pod, and of course Saturday 1 to 3 WIP. Yes. So still a lot of shows coming before the game, and then Sunday after the game, win or lose, win. Elliot's gonna pick me up. We'll come in the studio, do the whole thing live again. All right. Before we get to final thoughts, I would just like to give a shout out to the best movie of 2016, Finding Dory. Congratulations to Finding Dory for being the best movie of 2016. Oh, this is a movie thing? Okay. Best movie of 2016. Like you go through the list, it's like Transformers was the best movie of that year.
I look again, like
yes. 2009. Congratulations to Transformers, the best movie. Congratulations in 2006, Pirates of the Caribbean.
2020.
Look, your winner for Best Picture.
Again, people texted me about this all day. Like, look, the bottom line is this, right?
Congratulations, 2000. How the Grinch Stole Christmas has won the award for Best Picture.
I want to tell you, I'm just not going to sit here and tell people what they should enjoy. If you think a small group of people should tell people what the best movies are, that's you. I believe in democracy. I believe in allowing people to speak to what is the best. So you can act like
that's what they do. They vote. It's just the people who make the movies vote.
You can act like those movies aren't great. I'm just not going to sit here and act like they're not great movies.
Yeah. Shout out to hold on. Good tweet here. Shout out to
Paul. Someone brought up
Paul in honor of his Best Picture take. I guess that Elliot Shore Parks has to finally say that the Beatles are the best musical artists of all time because they've sold the most. So
you're right.
The Beatles are better than Queen. Sorry, buddy. You
well,
lost.
so
it's over. Best.
Hold on. I will willingly admit it if they have more hits.
Gone with the Wind, the best movie of all time. Did you love Gone with the Wind?
Again, because this is what I'm saying. It's not about my opinion. It's about the fact that what should win the award. I think Jalen should win MVP. The voters are going to pick Mahomes. I think they're wrong, but so what I'm saying is ultimately, I am not going to sit here and tell people what the best movie is. The people that go and buy the tickets can speak for it. It's like voting again. How do you think we should pick president?
I think we should take the L on this.
How do you think we should pick president?
It is voted on. It's by people who know what they're
doing.
Correct.
That's what it's voted on by
voting. If people knew that they were voting for this movie's going Best Picture, maybe they wouldn't go see Finding Dory.
But they're too interested in seeing it.
Yeah. So you think Finding Dory is the best movie of 2016?
Again, it's
best movie. Elliot Shore Parks. Finding Dory was the best movie of 2016.
According to everyone in America, yeah. According to the population in America, it was. Yes. Yeah. Right. Again, my opinion is just one opinion. That's how I like it. I don't think the Academy should speak on this. Not speak, but again, that's how I feel.
Again, there's a million
someone tweeted me.
There's a million different awards. Like the New York Critics' Choice gives out awards. The Golden Globes get the Critics' Choice Awards. The SAG Awards, the Directors Awards. Like, yes, that's the point. All these people have their awards. The Oscars is just the most popular one.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it is we're not doing it again. I'm not doing it again.
Well, someone did have a funny tweet.
Yes.
They were like, so do McDonald's have the best burgers in America?
How about it?
To which I would say, props to McDonald's for making a burger that is affordable to everybody. There's a best quality about that.
So it's the best burger in America. That was your point.
It's the most popular.
See, and that's the name of movies too. Is like that's another thing. I'm happy you said this because there are tons of movies that don't play in as many theaters as other movies. Like the biggest movies play in the most theaters and thus can make the most movies. So it's inherently unfair to those movies where a better movie is only in 1,000 theaters, another one in 4,000. You have no chance to make as much as the other one.
Oh, it's unfortunate. But again, more movie theaters could pick that movie up. You know. Yeah, I know that my opinion on this is we can disagree on the best path.
At least it's on Tuesday, right? That's
a good point. Yes.
All right, you got any final thoughts? So 45 minutes every day. Jeff, for those who don't know, we were originally we're gonna do 10 to 15 minute daily pods.
I'm trying to think if I have a final thought. Oh, I guess this is not an exciting final thought, but dude, Tyrese Maxey is awesome. He was awesome last night against the Nets. I'm a guy that loves guard play and Bucket Boy. Watching Tyrese Maxey I think he might be the most, actually Jalen and whatever. But watching Maxey when he makes threes and takes over a game is pretty exciting. So it's not a fun final thought, but it was just my thought because I watched it.
He's also super likable.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give two final thoughts because one is a very specific thought about.
I certainly won't be giving any controversial final thoughts. No, I can tell you that. Yeah. I think I've hit my quota.
One is a very specific thought about a specific set of movies, and this it only applies to people who've seen them. But I still wanted to say it, and then I'll get to one that applies to everyone because I'm going to tell you what you need to be.
Okay.
But first, the two quick thoughts on the John Wick movies, if you'll give me a
the Keanu Reeves ones you're talking about.
I know you're not an action movies guy.
Yeah.
I forgot about that when I was talking about your worst takes.
Yeah.
Action movies are
it's not about my opinion. The point is whatever. Yeah. Point is I want the people to speak, but okay.
Two quick thoughts about the John Wick movies. One, John Wick, you're most 1 to 3, consistently gets the shit beat out of him more than any character in the history of movies. It is, the dude just takes it.
What about the
gets
guys?
Hit by cars, gets shot, and just keeps going. It is the most insane thing you've ever seen. So I just watched the 3 movies. On the side, it's kind of been I've got an hour here or whatever. He just gets the crap. He gets hit by cars, he gets shot, he gets stabbed, he gets into 1,000 fights, he gets kicked, gets thrown off things or whatever, and he just gets up and keeps limping along. It's wild.
Sounds like the robbers from Home Alone.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think they would be right up there.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
There's a real vibe. It is also after mentioning Raid Redemption. You remember I mentioned that action movie. John Wick, I didn't realize after watching it, after seeing Raid Redemption, is basically just a ripoff of Raid Redemption. The whole movie.
Many are saying that.
Feels exactly the same.
Yeah.
And then one more quick John Wick thought. Someone has to explain to me the value of the gold coins. I know this makes no sense to you, but in this Hitman world,
right?
And I will say, John Wick does a really good job of setting up a world, with very little exposition. They don't really explain whatever. It's just all right, you're in this world of professional, high-end hitman, and it's wild,
right?
It's very cool. But these gold coins, one point they use the gold coins to pay for a cleanup crew to go clean up bodies. They'll go to a house.
Sounds like a video game.
Destroyed, and they'll give them one gold coin, and they'll clean up this whole house, blood and the python, and then they'll use a gold coin to pay for a drink at a bar. It makes no sense to me. What is the value of these gold coins?
Two things I would say. One, I would suggest checking your DMs because a lot of times people DM us to answer these questions. Okay. And this sounds like something that specifically somebody will listen and DM you. So I would check your DMs. Look, I never saw John Wick, so
I know.
Sure.
I know. That's
the last thing I'll say is the show The Last of Us is
so I watched the first episode.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it's look, I think the plot is terrifying in the way that at the beginning they make just a good enough point of look, I don't think the world's ever gonna get overtaken by fungus, but
it's zombies. It's a zombie movie.
But the way they explain it is wild.
Yeah.
And this isn't a spoiler. They basically
it's the first scene of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So they started by saying, fungus can never really spread to humans because the body is too hot, basically. Essentially, I'm sure I'm wrong about this, but they were saying because the world is heating up, fungus could learn
it's ridiculous. You realize that, right? I mean, it's a video game.
I agree,
but show based on a video game.
But what's crazy about it is and this isn't even political, but the world is heating up. So there is, I don't know, man. Again, there was enough of it. There was.
Elliot's the one person who watched Last of Us and yo, this could.
There was 5% of me that was wow, this isn't completely crazy.
Yeah, so I watched the first episode and it was entertaining. It was fine. I don't know if it's good enough for me to stick with. It'll probably be my dead.
I think it's
show. I have a field of dead shows where I watch 4 episodes, 3 episodes, 6 episodes, and then I just go back to movies.
The second one is really good.
Okay, I'll probably watch the second one.
I think it's gonna be the best show of the year. Besides White Lotus.
besides what you called the
and Jenny in Georgia.
Besides what you called before the greatest season of television you've ever seen.
It's
You're
beautiful.
like, oh, it's gonna be the best show of the year. Oh yeah, there was the one I said was the best ever.
Yeah,
so maybe
that's a good point. It's beautifully done.
Beautifully lit. Thank you.
Beautifully.
Thank you, cinematographer Elliot Shore Park. All right, here's my other final thought.
And we're really bouncing around here.
Yeah, it's be a Justin.
It's what?
Be a Justin.
Be a Justin, like the name?
Yes. So shout out to my buddy Justin Decker.
Okay. All right.
So Justin Decker is one of my oldest best friends. Awesome guy. Love Justin.
So Justin Decker is one of your best friends.
Shout out to Justin Decker. He is a Bears fan from Chicago, lives in Chicago. He listens to these pods just because he's my buddy. It's awesome, right? Like he's texting me. He'll like live text me episodes. The other day he's like, you and Zoe, Kinetic Energy. Like he'll just like, it's very fun.
Dude, I have friends that do that. And I think
he's my only one.
It's the most supportive thing I think somebody can do.
It makes my heart happy.
Exactly.
But here's why I'm telling you to be a Justin. Everyone to be a Justin. Justin's getting his coworkers to listen to the pod. He's got two of his Bears guys, like guys in Chicago. He's got them listening to our pod. He's spreading the pod throughout Chicago.
I love it.
Be a Justin.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. Get them to listen. The more, the merrier.
Well,
shout out to my guy Justin. I freaking love you.
And this is the other thing. We have a chance to put up like a historic number this month. Ooh, so if you're listening at this point, you're probably not a downloader.
You know, this Elliot cares.
Dude, again, it's back to the MVP stuff. Like, you should care about that. If you're listening now, like, make sure you're auto downloading, like, all those things. And you are if you're listening at this point. But, I mean, look, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. Like, you know, it's time to be supportive of everybody.
I agree. It's time to be supportive. Yeah. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll preview that game and tell you why we think the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl. And look ahead in Parks Picks, which, you know, 2 games.
There's literally only, one other game to talk about.
Either way, we'll dive.
It's a good game, though.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll dive into it all. Until then, he's Elliot James. 50 minutes.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, the award things I forgot about.
Yeah.
We're still live.
Look, it was great. That's okay. I just said 50 minutes.
No, I know.
Thank you, everybody. I love you all so much with all my heart.